sitting here with Chris Kasparek, and we're going to be starting off from the bench. And I know the big topic today is the March Madness bracket.
Yes, it is. The NCAA basketball tournament is upon us. Stayed up late last night, but it was actually not too bad because of, spring ahead of daylight savings. We still haven't done that yet here in Italy, so everything's an hour
it's
early.
Off by 5 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm here, by the way, guys.
And Bam's here as well. Everything's a little early. First off, though, we want to start out by giving a shout out to the boys and girls Naples Wildcats soccer teams. Bam was out there this weekend as well.
I'd never watched soccer before, and I think I might start paying attention to that sport. That was a lot of fun to watch, and I finally understand offsides, which means MC2 Dominguez can't beat me at FIFA every time we play from now on. But I understood the game a little bit more. It was a lot of fun to watch, and the kids out there did really, really great. What was number 2's name on the boys squad?
Davide?
Little guy? Yeah,
Davide. Yep.
I think I said David over the loudspeaker.
Davide.
But
and
he was fun to watch. He was a little dude, but he was faster than everybody else on the field.
Yeah, Davide is amazing. We both teams if people didn't listen and didn't know, I help out with the women, and then I'm the assistant coach for the boys. And the girls' game was a repeat of it was a rematch of the championship game last year, and the girls took care of business, beating Vicenza Cougars 3-0. There's 2 great articles in Stars and Stripes this weekend.
Yeah.
One talking about the game.
Yep. And Stephen Beardsley was a real nice guy from Stars and Stripes that was out there shooting photos and wrote a couple stories about it.
Yeah, one was the game recap, and then one was a preview of the rest of the season and what's going to be happening. And then the boys took care of business as well, beating Vicenza 4-1.
Yeah.
And we went up 3-0 at the half, and then they had an own goal in the second half where it bounced off one of our defenders into the goal. But we're excited. And then both teams will be leaving on Saturday to head up to Rome to play ASO.
The free kick that Davide put in. That was cool. I got excited. I was up in the booth, and I'm glad I didn't have the mic hot because I was like, yeah! And that wouldn't have sounded good to all the Vicenza parents sitting in the stands.
No, it wouldn't have. And I did the, every goal that we scored, I did my vertical leap went from 1 inch to maybe 1.5 inches.
That's pretty incredible.
Every time.
It's a big improvement.
But the big thing that we're here for is the tournament brackets. This morning came out last night at about 11 o'clock local time. And we're going to go through those throughout the day. Remind you, there's a couple of different places that you can go. We have been talking about the Warren Buffett one, and I may have misled some folks on this one. The Warren Buffett one, if you're interested in doing that and taking a chance of winning the $1 billion, and that is with a perfect bracket, which I will say that after looking at the bracket last night, looking at it again this morning, is pretty much going to be impossible to do. I've also heard some theories out there, talking to some guys, some sports fans yesterday, which is pretty funny, that they would not be surprised that if someone in that bracket, so look online, type in Warren Buffett bracket to do that, because that one is being done through Yahoo. It's a little bit different. They confirm your entry by an American phone number that you have, US. So obviously that hurts us a little bit. However,
got family over there.
Correct. They have family. Also, if you email them, they'll contact you and they'll tell you how you can do it anyway. I experienced that last night with them. But a couple of people, it was pretty funny, said that they wouldn't be surprised if someone's getting close. Let's say you get all the way to the Final Four and you still have a perfect bracket. If Buffett just called you, emailed you, and said, hey, instead of $1 billion, guaranteed thing, I'll give you $1 million.
I'd take it.
Yeah,
I'd take it immediately.
So are you willing to, are you taking that chance? Or even if you went to the championship game and it comes down to your last final thing, you get a perfect bracket.
What would you do if you won $1 billion?
Oh, I have a lot of things I'd do if I'd won.
What would be the first thing, though?
First thing I'd do if I won $1 billion, I'd scream really loud.
First thing with the money.
I would probably, here's the funny thing, is I think, you look at the lottery, in some kind of the same way. I think I'd almost want to check into the hospital, because if I won $1 billion,
just make sure everything was perfect.
Everything, because that'd be one of those things that I think I know how I am during a sporting event.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know if you paid attention at all.
Yeah, I was watching
on the sideline. I go a little nuts, and my daughter did a nice impersonation of me in the commissary. Then how I act when our boys team scores. But the first thing I do is I'd start looking into how to buy a summer camp.
Cool.
Yeah, because
Nice.
that'd be
What
one
about
of
you,
my
Yellin? What would you do with $1 billion?
After my shopping spree, I'd probably pay off some student loans or all. Of them.
The first thing I would do. That's the first thing I would do is pay off all of my debt.
Well, debt
and my
of
parents'
course.
debt.
Debt, of course.
That's the first thing to go, and then it's like, well, I have $900 million left. Well, we're not actually a million.
But the funniest,
10 million
but the
debt.
funniest part about that is I'd go in first I'd go on a shopping spree. That shopping spree.
That's the
would
true
never
though.
end.
Like I would walk into the mini next and be like, I'll take it all for no reason.
This
just
place
to
is
do it.
mine.
Nobody else is allowed to buy anything here right now. I just bought all of this.
Well, and you know what? That might actually
just
be,
because it's funny
that might actually be a good sports movie.
or
that isn't sports.
something
but
nice to
is-
do with it. Just pop in there and buy everything in the commissary and make them give it away free for the rest of the day.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
That'd be cool.
That would be pretty cool.
And it wouldn't cost that much.
No,
If you want $1 billion.
not in the scheme of things. But have you ever seen? And I think we talked about it one time. I don't know I can't remember if you said you had watched it or not. But Brewster's Millions.
I haven't seen
No,
Brewster's
I
Millions. That's
It's
Richard
a,
Pryor in it.
It has Richard Pryor, has John Candy in it, and the whole premise of the movie is he gets this inheritance, and he has to spend it all within a period of time, but cannot tell anyone.
We did talk about that movie.
Cannot tell anyone why he's spending the money, because if he does, then it's disqualified. And so that's a good. It's actually kind of a sports movie. So, so what we're gonna do when we come back, first thing to do is we have created a from the bench bracket. Okay. We've done it through the ESPN bracketology. Or the tournament challenge. So if you go into the website, into ESPN.com, most of you guys have probably already created one. You might have already created one for the when we did the Bull Mania.
Yes.
At the Bull Pick'em. So go in there and then look for the group of From the Bench Naples. It's a public group. What we are asking though is that don't enter if you, one, aren't associated with us here in the Naples area and or somewhere around the country or the world, and you're not going to pay attention to then who's winning, because we do want to get the From the Bench Naples trophy out to you so then we can have a picture of it, celebrate. Unfortunately, the person who won the football one, we tried to contact over and over again and to no avail. And so, we had the second and third prize winners, but they didn't win it, but we would have,
Definitely.
done it too. Because second was on that one was Josh Humphries, and third was actually I don't like to admit this, but it was my wife.
Well,
She beat me quite handedly.
if Darby had paid attention.
this was the Bowl Pick'em.
Oh, the Bowl Pick'em.
Not fantasy. But if Darby would have paid attention to that, she would have done all right. So when we come back, we'll go over the number one seeds. We'll go over the different brackets, and we'll start kind of talking about where the upsets could happen and where the teams could actually make an easy through all the way.
I'm going to step out. I enjoyed stopping by and talking about the soccer games this weekend. And also, if you get a chance, go check out the spin class at the gym Monday mornings at 5:30. I just did it, and I was wrong. That was difficult. My legs hurt. I played racquetball right afterwards, and I couldn't get to the stuff that I normally get to. It was, I'm very sweaty. But it was a really good workout. You should check it out. Very, very good, high energy. Everybody was friendly.
Well, now everybody's going to do it now that you said it.
Absolutely.
Hey, and the other thing we're going to do is we're going to touch on movies 101.
All right.
A little.
Okay.
Did you watch both or just the one?
I watched all up 1 through 3.
Whoa,
So we're
she
up
did
to
extra
well,
credit.
we missed Rocky 2 last week because we didn't have a show. So and then she did watch Rocky 3. So we're going to touch on Rocky 2 or 3. And we've
Very
started
cool.
to see the progression of
Yes.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Great.
All right.
Y'all have fun.
All right, here is Stay the Night by Zed featuring Haley Williams on 106 FM The Eagle, serving America's best. That was Fastball with Out of My Head. The time is 7:41, and we are here, me, Petty Officer Eric Yond, and Chris Kasparek from the bench.
Yes. And it's March Madness special. Going through the brackets, it was funny, Bam, just talking about the soccer game, going back to that on Saturday, and how, he learned a little bit about offsides, and so now it's going to help him with the video game. I think that's hilarious because the same thing happens with folks when you hear some kids now playing Madden football or whatever, have no athletic ability whatsoever, but yet they can call every play in the book because they've played Madden so many times.
Yeah.
So, but today is about basketball, and I'm looking at the brackets right now. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the different areas, kind of highlight some games, and to be honest, we're also going to talk about some of the different ways that people pick, through it. Some will pick the colors of the uniforms. They're like, oh, I like that color better. Some will pick their conference, hey, I like the Pac-12 or I like the Big Ten. So for sure, those people are going to move forward. Then you have the homers. This is how I was. No, I probably still am a little bit. That you would pick your team to go all the way to the championship game. Not very realistic, unless, of course, you're one of the number one seeds or you have a team that's really, really good. Some do the mascot pick'ems, which is if we were to look at, let's look at, and unfortunately some of these schools I have no clue on, but here we go. So if we were, let's look at this one. In the first round, the Colorado Buffaloes will be playing the Pittsburgh Panthers.
All right. So in a fight, a Panther versus a Buffalo, who would you say would win that? I'd probably say the Panther.
The Panther?
Yeah.
It's probably a good call. Buffalo might. I mean, they could trample them, maybe.
That's true.
Unless they were in the herd,
Yeah.
and then they, but then there's a pack of Panthers, isn't it? Isn't it a pack?
Is it a pack?
I don't know. Maybe. So, but that's how. So we'd say, okay, let's say we'll go with yours, and we'll say the Panthers win. So the Panthers go on. Now the first round, I couldn't tell you. There's a playing game, so we're going through these games. Florida plays the winner of the UA Mount St. Mary's winner. And so what that means is there's some play-in games that these folks, they're in the tournament, but they're not quite in it yet.
Okay.
So UA will play Mount St. Mary's, and whoever wins that then gets the fun task of playing the Florida Gators.
All right.
Well, let's just say Florida wins. So now Colorado and Pittsburgh play each other. You said Pittsburgh's going to move on because they had the Panthers. Now you have a Panther taking on an alligator. Who wins in a Panther and alligator?
I don't know.
Well, I think I'd take the alligator.
I think so.
I think,
That jaw.
Yeah, because I mean the Panther. I don't know if the Panther could do any damage on the alligator.
No.
I mean, there's probably somebody out listening right now, like National Geographic. These people that they're looking up on Wikipedia or online saying, could an alligator beat a panther? I don't know. Speaking of though, people could call in and give their opinions. Correct?
That's true.
Okay, and what's that number?
629-6925.
And we have never had a call on From the Bench, but there always could be the chance to do so because you might be one of those folks out there that is furious that your team didn't make it or furious that there was a couple bad seeds. So we'll just start going through. You got yours pulled up. So we have Florida UA St. Mary's in the first round. Then you have Colorado versus Pittsburgh, which is it's an 8-9 matchup. Then the 5-12 matchup in this region, Virginia Commonwealth against Stephen F. Austin, and that's if you look at the records of that one, Stephen F. Austin has a really good team this year. VCU is one of those teams that actually got to the Final Four a couple years ago, and so we'll be anxious to see what happens with them. UCLA versus Tulsa, Ohio State versus Dayton. That game's intriguing. Dayton in Ohio State, of course, in Ohio. And Dayton is one of those teams that has been trying to play Ohio State during the season. And Ohio State's always been like, no. And there's a lot of reasons. You don't want, the little brother to beat you. Now
They have no choice.
And little brother could beat you. Syracuse against Western Michigan, New Mexico versus Stanford. Number 2 seed in the region, Kansas, will be playing Eastern Kentucky, the 15 seed. And So in that bracket, from top to bottom, you got the Florida and the Kansas tough bracket. And Kansas has had an injured player all year, and he'll be coming back possibly for the tournament, possibly first, second round. So we will go through all these, and then we'll throw out some picks. So a lot of good matchups in that bracket. And then we go down to the next number 1 seed is Virginia, and Virginia, if you weren't paying attention, if you weren't reading ESPN.com, beat Duke in the ACC championship game. They had not done that in a long time, and they're a number 1 seed for the 4th time in history. Some people may forget, back in the early 80s, there was a certain big man named Ralph Sampson, and that was the last time where they were the number 1 seed for 3 years straight. So they'll be playing the 16th seed Coastal Carolina. Congratulations, Coastal Carolina. Memphis, George Washington, the 8 and 9 seeds, and then a fun game. It's always fun to watch the Ivy League schools. And this year, the Ivy League schools team, Harvard, has a great team. They had a great team last year. I believe they won in the first round. And they have a former Duke player that is their coach, Tommy Amaker. So they will be playing Cincinnati. So look, that's that classic, if you follow the brackets, that's the classic 5-12 matchup where you see a lot of 12 seeds upset the 5 seeds, and that is one that could possibly happen. Then the 4 seed Michigan State playing Delaware, North Carolina playing Providence. Providence getting in there after having beat Creighton in the Big East championship game. You have Iowa State, the 3 seed, go Cyclones, playing NC Central, North Carolina Central. And then and folks can say, wait, Chris, you don't talk about Iowa State much, you talk about Iowa. Well, here's the deal. In the state of Iowa, there's a number of different fans. You have the Iowa fans who are diehard Iowa all the way. You have the Iowa State fans, Iowa State all the way. And when Iowa State plays anybody else, Iowa fans will cheer against them. Then there's also the Iowa fans that love Iowa and also like Iowa State and will cheer for them, except for when Iowa plays Iowa State. So I'm cheering for Iowa State. I'd like to see them do great in this tournament behind their coach, Fred Hoiberg, the mayor of Ames.
Nice.
Then you have Connecticut, St. Joe's, and then the number 2 seed on the bottom side of the bracket, Villanova will be playing Milwaukee. So that is one complete half of the bracket. And a reminder that if you want to join, and we will put it up on Facebook later today, inviting people to join. Again, we'd like to get 50 entries at least, for this. And you will look for the From the Bench Naples. So when it gets to the part where it says either create entry or join group, you want to join group From the Bench Naples. So when we come back from the break, we will now do the other half of the bracket, starting with the number 1 seed, Arizona.
All right, and we will be right back, but here is Take Me Home by Cash Cash featuring Bubba Rexha on 106 FM The Eagle, serving America's best. You just heard Anna Kendrick with Cups. The time is 7:54, and you're listening with me, Petty Officer Erica Yellin, and we are sitting here with Chris Kasparek, and we're doing the From the Bench show. And earlier we were talking about one half of the brackets for March Madness.
Yep, and now it's to the second half, and so we'll finish up with the final 2 regions. We'll start with, I believe it's the West, because unfortunately it doesn't say where. Yes, okay, so with Arizona.
Yes.
They'll be taking Weber State. Again, there has not, if my facts are correct, there has not been a 16 seed that's beat a number 1 seed in a first round since the brackets have come out in this format. So it'll be interesting. Again, Arizona's a tough team. They did stumble a little bit in the Pac-12 final against UCLA. But UCLA, again, a good team, again, making the tournament. Then you have Gonzaga taking on Oklahoma State. This is one of the most intriguing games of the whole first round. You got the Gonzaga See, and here's another one. You got the Bulldogs versus the Cowboys. So, yeah, I mean, I without touching on animal cruelty, I don't think we want to touch this mascot one. So, if you were doing the mascot pick'em, just be nice. Have a good thing other than that the cowboy may have a gun. So, So Oklahoma State, Gonzaga, this is going to be, like we said, a great matchup. Oklahoma State is one of those teams that was ranked very high at the beginning of the year because Marcus Smart, and then he had some mental things happen during the season where he lost his cool. But Gonzaga, I mean, anybody that follows college basketball at all has been following Gonzaga for years. They used to be the underdog years ago. They were always the Cinderella team. Now they're a consistent factor in the tournament every year. Then we have Oklahoma against North Dakota State, San Diego State against New Mexico State, Baylor, Nebraska being just as hot can be right now. They're 11 seed, which seemed kind of crazy how low they were. And then Creighton, going from the Missouri Valley Conference to the Big East, they will now be playing Louisiana, Lafayette, which will be a great team. One of those real small schools that have crazy, amazing records, but haven't played they haven't played the tough teams throughout the year. Then you have Oregon versus BYU, the number 2 seed. Then Wisconsin against the American school. It's what it's called. It's called American. And then finally, the last region is the number 1 seed Wichita State Shockers, and they will be playing the winner of the playing game of Cal Poly, and Cal Poly will be playing I believe it's Texas something. It's a Texas. I think it actually. I don't know if Texas Southern or Texas. Yeah, it doesn't show up completely on here. And then below them, you have Kentucky, which I don't get this. They got hosed bad, real bad. They're an 8 seed. Don't get that. They went to the SEC championship game, played Florida very tough, had a decent year, had an up and down year, but I'm not sure that they deserve to be an 8 seed. They will be playing Kansas State, a tough Kansas State team. Then the number 5 seed, St. Louis, will be playing the winner of the playing game of North Carolina State Xavier. Both good games, both great teams. North Carolina State having just beat Syracuse in the ACC tournament. ACC tournament. And then and that game, just like some of the other playing games, kind of signaled that the tournament selection committee this year went more for the big schools than the small schools. I mean, I have NC State and Xavier playing in the playing game, and then the playing game that we're going to talk about in a little bit that's near and dear to my heart. And then the 4 seed in this region, Louisville will play Manhattan. Louisville, another one of those teams that kind of got slighted, kind of moved down a little bit lower than we possibly thought. And then the last playing game, it'll be to see who plays UMass. Will be Iowa and Tennessee. So my Hawkeyes will be playing in that playing game to see who will be the 11 seed playing UMass, and that'll be an exciting matchup. Iowa and Tennessee. Hopefully Iowa can pull their head out of the clouds and get playing in that game. So then you have Duke versus Mercer, Texas versus Arizona State. And that's another one, the Longhorns versus the Sun Devils. If you had to go mascots, you'd probably go Sun Devils because they would probably burn.
They fight dirty.
Yeah, they fight dirty, and the Longhorns would have a chance. And then number 2 seed in this region, behind Wichita State is the number 1 seed, Michigan playing Wofford. Michigan, actually, if they had won the Big Ten championship tournament, they would have no doubt probably been the number 1 seed instead of Virginia. Virginia probably would have been the number 2 seed here. So that is the brackets. We will be going to a news break now, but when we come back, it's time for some Rocky discussion.
Yes.
Talk about the ultimate underground story.
Yes.
AP Radio News.
All right, you are listening to 106 FM, the Eagle Morning Show, and right now we're finishing up From the Bench. I am Petty Officer Erica Yellin, and I'm sitting here with Chris Kasparek. The time is 8:06, and I just did that in a really weird order, but
that's all right.
Yeah,
because we went through the entire brackets for the March Madness. It's one of those things that we're excited about. It's something everybody looks forward to every year. Everybody gets involved with the pick'ems. It's we just talked about a few of the different ways that people pick their winners, either the color of the uniforms, the mascot versus mascot competition, which I always think is funny if you were to do it that way. Your favorites, whether the Big Ten or the conferences. You got little kids like myself when I was little that would pick Iowa every time, and I'm just happy Iowa's back in. To be honest, I didn't think they deserved to be in compared to some of these other teams because they just ended the season so cold. But I'm happy they're in now that they are. But a reminder, if you go to the ESPN Pick'em to the Tournament Challenge and you find the From the Bench Naples League, that's the group you want to join. And we're hoping we're going to be able to reward a winner this year with this season with the trophy. And also, just put it out there, make sure you take advantage. We're not going to do it through them, but you can do it on your own. Go and look up the Warren Buffett bracket because he is doing that. And I think it's like for the first how many ever million people that do it. But he's doing that if you get a perfect bracket, which is going to be crazy impossible this year. I really don't know how anybody's going to do it. You could win $1 billion. But it's Movies 101 time, and I'm excited because we're actually going to talk about 2 movies.
Yes.
And this is how we're going to end today's show. Because we had been in previous shows, with former hosts in your chair, we were trying to get through the Rocky series, but we always just got distracted. It'd be holidays would come up, or this would come up, and vacations. But you watched, so we're progressing through the Rocky series. We talked about Rocky 1 last week,
Yes.
Or the ever pale Sylvester Stallone in Rocky 1.
Yes.
You watched, we didn't have a show last week, but you watched Rocky 2 for last week.
Yes.
And Rocky 2, thumbs up, thumbs down?
I liked it.
You liked it a lot?
I liked it.
Okay.
It was,
Better than 1 or worse than 1?
I don't know. I guess it's just different because there wasn't as much fighting as the first one in that one.
True.
It was more about his life and his story.
Yeah. And his Adrian almost dying.
Yes, that too.
Because she was pregnant, she got sick, went into a coma,
Yeah.
and then she wakes up, and the next thing you know, she's saying to Rocky,
Win.
win. But this is the movie where, there's infamous movie scenes throughout history.
Yes.
And one of the ones that then is joked about in athletics now about trying to make you quicker is chasing a chicken, which comes from Rocky 2.
Okay.
Did you like that scene?
I thought it was hilarious.
Did he? Man, he caught the chicken.
Eventually, yes, he did.
He did catch the chicken.
Yeah.
And then he wins the fight. And him and Apollo say some very, moving things, which is, at the end that they're never going to fight again. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then you move to Rocky 3.
Yes.
And we talked about a couple weeks ago that not only is Rocky a progression of the story, but Rocky is a progression of Sylvester Stallone.
Yes.
From the pale meat pounding in the freezer kind of ugly guy to now he's in Rocky 3 and he's now the champ and he's
Yes.
becoming popular.
Yep.
So Rocky 3, what'd you think?
I thought it was a little cheesy. It was on the cheesy side a little bit. I liked the Hulk Hogan scene. I thought it was really funny.
Well, and I asked you, because, there's certain questions you ask about these, and I asked you, I said, hey, what was the name? Because you said you really liked Mr. T
Yes.
being in this movie. And I said, well, what was his character name? And you said, I can't remember, which was Clubber Lane.
Yes, Clubber Lane.
And then but you had also said that you liked the Hulk Hogan scene, and I said, and before I could even spit out what Hulk Hogan's name was, you liked Thunderlips.
Thunderlips.
You knew that one, but you couldn't remember Mr. T's character of Clubber Lane.
Yeah.
So what was cheesy? What was cheesy about Rocky 3?
Just, I don't know, just that they had all these celebrities coming in, and Hulk Hogan. I mean, just, he had these huge, puffy pillow lips on his cape.
I gotta go back and watch that because I remember the lips, but I don't remember being like puffy hanging on the.
Yeah, they were like sewed on. That was like a lip pillow sewed on his cape.
Yeah, that. Well, and I always thought that movie was kind of cheesy because of the extravagance. Then as he became the champ,
Yeah.
he had the black coat with the Italian stallion on it. He's riding the motorcycle. Adrian's now got the furs.
His gym.
His gym, and then he gets pounded.
Yeah.
Clubber Lane tears him up, and then we have other guests in the studio. Did you guys want to weigh in on this?
I mean, I'll come walking up. I haven't seen Rocky 3 since I was about 12, though. So,
But he gets pounded
Yeah.
by Clubber Lane because Clubber Lane is just It's just
Angry.
quick. The one thing I remember this is that is when Clubber Lang in this movie, every time Mr. T was fighting, it was like, like every time he hit, it was like, gah, gah, gah. You know?
Mr. T makes that noise anytime he does anything, though.
And then the story takes a twist because Apollo's ticked. Apollo Creed now has become buddies with Rocky and is like, man, we're going to California, I believe LA. We're going to LA and we're going to teach you to be quicker.
Yeah.
And then becomes the infamous scene that I would say has been recreated on beaches everywhere around the world ever since that movie.
I'm blank on it.
When Apollo and Rocky race. You know, they're running on the beach.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember?
No,
Oh my God.
It's literally been, how old am I?
Do you remember
31?
that?
It's been almost 20 years since I saw that
You
movie.
really don't remember that they would practice on the beach. They run on the beach, and Rocky just gets beat every day by Apollo. Apollo just beats him speed. They're running, and they're wearing the holy moly 80s outfits
Yep.
as they're running in the water.
Short shorts.
And then Rocky wins, and what becomes maybe one of the most awkward hugging scenes of all time between Apollo Creed and Rocky takes place not on the beach, in the water as they're hopping around with 80s colored socks. You know,
What music is playing?
I believe it was
Eye of the
the
Tiger.
Tiger possibly was
Okay.
playing that.
It would have been funny if it had been like Endless Love or something.
No, that didn't happen. So Rocky gets pounded by Clubber Lang, which then leads to this Apollo Creed Rocky, training. But the other sad part is Mickey dies.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, and we've agreed on this. We've agreed on this show that if the movie was
Movie's like older
30
than
years,
30 years
if
old.
it's older than 30 years ago, there is no such thing as a
You
spoiler
can put
alert.
spoilers out.
So Mick dies, which you said earlier before the show that you knew was going to happen because
Yeah, well, they were starting to show him having heart troubles at the very beginning of the movie, so it kind of foreshadowed.
It's kind of obvious foreshadowing.
Well, look, that's weird. Why did they just showed Mickey?
Wait, he died?
They just showed Mickey having a heart trouble eating a bowl of Captain Crunch. That's weird.
Was it always he was alone and nobody saw it? I can't remember.
No, it
no,
was in.
'cause-
It
remember
was,
literally nothing.
In that
about
one, he was living in their house. Like, he moved in with Rocky and...
It's weird.
Did he?
Yeah.
I do not remember that.
I guess it would make sense though. Mick wouldn't make nearly as much money as Rock.
Yeah, he was living in their house.
No, and he always had the same.
It would be
pale
weird
blue.
to have like some old man move in like that from work.
Yeah, I was
Right.
just wondering
Like-
what kind of roommate.
Well, Mick was. Hey, Adrian. Want some Cheerios? And Mick.
Where's the toilet paper? I can't find it.
And Mick was the meanest he'd ever been in 2.
Yeah.
Because he got pretty furious. And then in 3, Mick was mad because
Maybe
they were in
that's-
3. They were showing him mad because that's when Rocky wasn't taking his training seriously.
Yeah.
Hence, then that's when Rocky, felt very guilty when Mick dies because he kind of gets pushed out of the way, has the heart attack, and then there's Mick laying on the training table
Well,
when
maybe
Rocky
that's
comes in
part of
after getting
the
pounded.
story arc though. Is they're trying to show a consequence for somebody who's just mean, like Mick. So he dies.
That's
don't be mean or you'll have a heart
horrible.
attack.
He's mean. Mick's a mean guy.
But he's mean
He
to...
in the
loved-
even in the first movie, he treated Rocky bad until Rocky started doing well.
Well, because he was motivating him.
Is that motivation, or is that
That
just
was-
somebody who's
He knew
mean?
he had to be
needs to have a
loved.
heart
No,
attack?
but don't forget the love of when he gave him the cufflink. The boxing
Oh yeah, that
glove
makes up for
cufflink.
being mean for your entire life.
Absolutely. Well, then Rocky kind of turned it around and didn't pay attention to what Mick was saying, and look what happened. Clubber Lang about killed him.
Well,
And we're talking that Rocky 3 actually doesn't have,
I think the
just like
moral
2,
here
doesn't have a
is-
lot of boxing in it.
No, it doesn't.
It didn't have a lot of boxing in it. It was Rocky gets pounded, then Rocky goes, Apollo trains him.
so the moral is be nice to everybody and listen to your boss,
Yeah, maybe.
even if he's not nice to you.
Celebrate.
He might die of a heart attack at some point.
And then he comes and he just beats Clubber Lang like in no time and sets up another awkward moment of the Rocky movies is, and I think you remember this one, is in the in the third one, Apollo says to Rocky, "I'm going to help train you, but you're going to have to. I'm going to ask you for something at some point, a favor, and you're going to have to pay me back." And he's like, "Okay, whatever." And he's like, "Well, what is it?" He's like, I'll tell you when it is." And at the end, all of a sudden, for the first time in all of the Rocky, the only time in all the Rocky movies,
give me a kiss.
they show up because they want to spar, and they're wearing the padded helmets, the padded shorts. And then they just go around the lane. They're going around the ring, and the music's going. It's going slow. You're like, okay, what's going to happen? They're going to show this fight, and then they take the one punch, freeze frame. Eye of the Tiger plays, and that's it. That's all.
Is it saying what's going to be in the next one?
No, it doesn't say at all in the next one, because the next one completely takes a turn for the Rocky IV, which I would say probably you're.
I don't think I've
not
seen
crazy. I
don't think I saw past the
You
first
have.
3.
Was that the one?
with the Russian.
Oh, yeah.
I did see Rocky 4.
See, in Rocky IV, I mean, and how relevant? I mean,
Now that I
it's
think
kind of
about
relevant right now. I'm just saying.
So the Mighty Ducks, really good movie. The second one, weirdly, the Icelanders were the bad guys. That doesn't make sense, does it?
So
Everybody in Iceland's
Rocky
nice.
IV is the next homework for you.
Okay.
And Rocky IV came out in the midst of the 80s. Is what a lot of people will actually consider one of the best Rocky movies of all time. You got Bridget Nielsen, who was at that point Bridget Stallone.
Did she marry Leslie Nielsen later?
I don't know. She
Liam.
That's a weird
Liam
last
Nielsen.
name.
Bridget Nielsen.
Oh, was it? Okay, I got you.
Because she married Sylvester Stallone at one point, and then Yvonne Drago was in this, Apollo Creed, and now you haven't seen Rocky IV.
No.
All right, so we will not give you the spoiler alert for this one.
All right.
And James Brown is in this one.
I like James Brown.
James Brown.
James Brown.
James Brown is
He's from I think Cairo, Georgia, right around the corner.
Possibly.
Here's a little weird thing about James Brown that has nothing to do with sports. My best friend Tyrone back home, big-time musician in the local area. He makes his living that way. He was born on the same day as James Brown, and he was in James Brown's hometown on the day James Brown died.
Wow.
It's weird, right?
It is
It's a
kind
little
of
strange coincidence.
Some interesting trivia right there.
That's kind of like the whole
Something
John
that you'll never
Adams,
remember
Thomas
or need to
Jefferson.
know.
That's kind of like the John Adams, Thomas Jefferson stuff.
Yeah, that is.
Huh.
Weird.
Weird. All right, so March Madness. March Madness kicks off today. The tournament will actually kick off Wednesday evening, so early in the morning, Thursday for us. It'll be the play-in games to see who will be the number 11 seed in the one bracket. Iowa playing for one of those, and then a couple other teams. But go online, go to the Tournament Challenge on ESPN. We'll put the link up later today on the FS Facebook page, and enter into the group from the Bench Naples. Again, we're trying to get 50 entries, and we want to make sure if you're in this area and stuff, stay tuned to it. Make sure your email address is up to date in your account so that we can let you know you won, or you can keep track. Call us in so we can figure out how you picked your winners.
If you win $1 billion, we want to cut.
Yeah, if you want $1 billion, and then also good reminder. Go and type in, if you want to go for the $1 billion, you got to type in Warren Buffett's bracket and go into that on your own. That won't be as a part of the ESPN, but take that chance to win.
Feel free to
$1
use it.
billion.
I will give you my personal email address for that one if you want to use it. It's fine.
So, but and other than that, and then good luck to the boys and girls Naples Wildcats as well as the rest of the sports teams, the track team as well. And who am I forgetting? We got track, and we got soccer. And I believe that's it for the spring sports. And if I'm missing one, I apologize. But those will be kicking off, and the boys and girls soccer teams will be going to ASR this weekend and away.
All right. Well, good luck to all you guys out there. All right, coming up next, here is Tonight by Hot Shell Ray on 106 FM The Eagle, serving America's best.
Y'all ready for this?